else to do the video. Been busy. It's Friday. Yay! And had a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. Just really haven't had time to do a video. Been getting home late. Ain't been here to get lumber a lot. So leaving the truck running today though, because it's hot. Don't leave the air conditioning going. So you might hear that in the background. Anyway, I'll try to talk loud, talk over the engine too. Anyway, one of the biggest things I hear, and I'm 53, so I'm in my later years as far as earning. The thing about when you're young, you think to yourself, well, shoot, I can't really afford to put anything away because I'm spending every dollar I make. And I get that. And the whole world gets that. It goes without saying that you're living paycheck to paycheck when you're young. That's just the way it is. Most young people, they're dying to get their hands on their first car. They're dying to get their hands on their first motorcycle or boat or whatever it is. Once you get a little older, you've gotten that out of your way, and you don't buy as much of that crap as you used to, so you start actually saving some money. Plus, you've been at your job for a long time now, or you've got more experience, so you're getting higher pay. Either way, people usually earn more in their later years than they do in their younger years. And so one of the things I hear all the time is, well, Joe, not everybody has a six-figure job. Some people have minimum wage jobs, and some people make careers out of minimum wage jobs. And I do know people that have done that. They work in small towns, work for a manufacturing place. And so what I did is I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna see. Let's say you get out of high school, you're 18 years old, and maybe you jump around. Maybe you worked at the local Sonic or the Dairy Queen or whatever it was when you was in high school, and now you're going to work for the local company, whatever it is, making bottle caps or whatever it is. We have a couple local companies. I don't know what they both pay. I know that one of them pays, their employees make somewhere in between $30,000 and probably $60,000 a year. I think the kind of middle of the road, the median of them is probably around $40,000. And so I'm going to use that number because you can start there at 18. You can start there at 18. It's not a high level job. It's not something you need college education for. I mean, they want you to be smart. You can't go in there, being a dumbass and get a job. Although they have a few dumbasses working there. Point is, this place has vacation pay and sick pay, and they're actually working on getting a 401k, things like this. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to write it out. See if somebody making $40,000 a year, which $40,000 a year, if you don't know this, is only about $18, $19 an hour. People often think of a $40,000 a year job as a $20 an hour job. That's not true. $20 an hour would be an extra $1,600 because it's 52 weeks out of the year, not 50, and so it'd be a $41,600 job a year if you was making $20 an hour. So that extra $1,600 is, because you got more money, but it's around $19 an hour is what 40,000 a year. So we're just going to use that as a flat line deal. Now, again, assuming you're young, you're 18, you bounced around, while you're in high school, you get out, you think, you know what, I'm not going to college, I'm not going anywhere, I'm done, I'm not going to screw around doing this, I'm just going to take this low-level job, and I'm just going to do it. Now, I did not count for raises. Everybody gets raises, and if you stay at a company for 40 freaking years, it's just the time horizon on this. If you stay at a company for 40 freaking years, you're going to get some raises. I mean, they're going to feel bad if they don't give you one, right? You stay at a company, you're that loyal, you stay there 40 freaking years, they're going to give you a raise. But I didn't count for raises. But I also did 8%. So a lot of people say 8% ain't right. Well, I'm also not adding raises here. So what I did this on was how a lot of companies, my company included, do their 401k and their match. The minimum I can put in to get maximum match is 5% of my income. And then they will match it with 4% income. And how that works is the first 3% is dollar for dollar. the next 2% of my pay, next 2% is a 50% match. And so up to 3, okay, 1%, 2%, 3%. The next one is 50%, so it's not a whole one. It's 50%. And that's me putting in 4%. And then I put in 5%, and now I've got a whole percentage there, so I end up with 4%. I hope I did that as easily as possible, because people get lost in percentages. I get it, okay? So at 4% of my income, they will match. Or 4% of, yes, 4% of my income, they will contribute. That's what I meant to say, not match. They're doing a match up to 5%. So I'm putting in 5, they're putting in 4. So if you're making $40,000 a year, and I went ahead and wrote this out, that way I'd have it so you have exact figures. It's going to average every week with no overtime now. If I'm putting in 5%, that's $38.46 a day. I'm sorry. Excuse me. My breakfast is talking. $38.46 a week, not a day. A week. So you're making $40,000 a year, which means you're making about $780 or so a week. After taxes, you're probably bringing home $600. Well, this is coming out, and if you're contributing without Roth, it's actually getting taken off of your gross, and so you're actually paying a little bit less in taxes. So about $40 a week, $38.46. Well, when you're really young and things are tight, that might be hard for you to do. But I bet you, I just bet you, that you can find somewhere in that income where you can spare $40. I bet you can. I bet you if it meant something to you, you could. And maybe after I tell you this, it will mean something to you. So I'm talking to all these younger people. I'm not talking to people my age that didn't do this. Understand, I did not do this. What I'm telling you right here, I didn't do. And I'm an idiot. This is why I make these videos. Because I feel a responsibility to younger Americans to tell them, hey, you can be a freaking millionaire. You can be a freaking millionaire. It just takes time. And I did not put in the time. I'm still going to be a millionaire. But now, the $40 that you can put in when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, that go times 20. And actually more than that. I'm more than that. About times 25 is what I'm having to put in a freaking week to get where you could be. Okay? That's obnoxious. And the world needs to know that. Kids need to know that. They need to teach this in school. That if you just start when you're young and just put in a small amount, you don't even have to put in a lot. I'm talking $40 a week here. $40 a week. Even if you have a PUD job where you're making $40,000 a year. Okay? I'm not calling you anything. I'm just saying there's some people that's all they're ever going to do. That's all they aspire to do. They're going to do a 40-hour week, and they're going to go fish in the afternoon. They're going to love their lives. And they're going to enjoy themselves. They're going to have some things, but they're not going to have anything big. Maybe they'll buy a really modest house, or they'll rent all their life. I don't know. I'm just saying, I know a lot of people that are doing this that are surviving. That it's their career. I know people in their 50s and 60s making $40,000 a year. Okay, it's not unusual. $38.46 a week for 40 freaking years. So if you started this when you was 18, you'd be 58. Now you can't draw you until you're 59 and a half. Let's say you screwed around out of high school. Maybe you thought you were going to college and you dropped out or whatever and got this job. So at 19 and a half, you took this job, or actually 19, you took this job. 6 months in, also they offer you the 401k, and you go ahead and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that $40 in every week. $579,000, $579,475.68. $579,475.68. That's over $500,000. Now the thing is, you've been living on $40,000 all your life. Now again, it's assuming you don't get a raise. It's going to be a lot more than this. It's going to be a lot more than this. This is today's dollars. So at today's dollars, how would $579,475 do you? Especially if you're living on $40,000 now. It's pretty good. With Social Security and doing a modest 4% withdrawal rate, you get the same money you're getting now the rest of your freaking life. You wouldn't have to change anything. It's just you don't gotta go work now. Live the same life you're living today and you ain't gotta go work. Go fishing every day, go hunting every day, go do whatever things you're doing right now to entertain yourself on a $40,000 a year income. Go do that. Okay? Here's the part I didn't tell you. Company match. Remember, company match. $30.77 a week. You're putting in $38.46. 5%. 4%, that's $30.77. Your company has put in $463,000. $463,610.68. Okay. I just told you got $479,000. But the company put in $463,000. You're probably doing that math in your head right now. Yeah. That's $1,043,000 combined. That's your money. $40,000 a year job for 40 years. Retire when you're 59 and a half. You're out. Retire early. Retire earlier than all your friends. Retire earlier than your dad and your mom. And now you got $1 million sitting in a 401k. Where the 4%, if you did a 4% withdrawal without Social Security, is $40,000. That's what you're making right now. Don't tell me that all Americans can't win. They can. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care if you identify as a freaking peanut. A $40,000 a year job is attainable. Almost anybody can get one of those. Now, if they don't offer a 401k, you can put it into a Roth IRA or an IRA. You can get a simple IRA, and maybe you're not going to get a match with that. But let's say all you do is get that $579,000. Just put in that $40 a week. Put that $40 a week. Get that $579,000. That with your Social Security, if you took early Social Security at hang on a second. I was remembering my forklift driver waved at me. I thought he was trying to tell me something. Anyway, $579,000. If you're doing a 4% withdrawal, that's over $20,000. With your Social Security, you're going to get right about $20,000 a year at 62. Probably right around that. You'll be making about the same amount of money you've been making all your life, even with just an IRA. Okay? If you get a 401k, that company match, just how important that company match is. It's almost a $500,000 difference. $463,000 on a $40,000. I can't stress that enough. A $43,000 a year income. You can get $1 million. It just takes time, and you gotta decide to do it. And I talk to so many kids who are like, oh, you don't understand. I'll do that when I just shut up, boomer. I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. Boomers didn't do this. Boomers didn't take care of themselves. A lot of boomers didn't. It's the Gen Xers that are doing this. We're the ones that are trying to change things. Anyway, long and short of it is, you don't have to make 6 figures. You can make 5 figures. You can make low 5 figures and still be a freaking millionaire. But you gotta start today.